Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Bernice.
We were gonna start without you for a minute there because we had a little. Did you see Man, by the way? Hi everybody. I just want to say hi to everybody in Hong Kong and in Spain. 大家好。頭先咧唔好意思咧，有少少嘅 hiccup 啦，就係因為我哋咧就個時差咧有少少唔同咗啦，佢哋有 daylight saving 啫。不特止咧，因為網絡咧就而家有少少改變，由新變舊，舊翻變新，所以咧而家就乜嘢都冇事。I just want to introduce everybody here. So 呢個咧就喺我哋對面咧就係 Alvaro， 佢而家喺西班牙嘅。Say hi to everybody, Alvaro.
Hello, good
in Hong
morning.
Kong.
How are you? Buenos días.
Buenos días, yeah.
Can you turn your volume up a little bit? It's a little bit quiet on your side.
More volume?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes.
咁咧呢個咧就係 Bojan，係我哋呢邊嘅GM 嘅喺 Links 嘅 GM 啦。咁點解大家會喺度識啦 ？Okay, I just want to introduce everybody here first because so this is the owner and winemaker and of many wineries actually it's all together combined. We're just gonna call it Alvaro Palacios Spain Winery done. So 點解咧今日佢咁 special 啦？因為其實第一 winemaking 咧係從來未去過西班牙嘅 ，including myself. I've never been to Spain yet, which I'm hoping after this I'm gonna go there. Correct?
I would love to have you here, of course.
但係咧佢咧就反而嚟過香港。Yeah, I have not been to Spain, but he's actually Alvaro's been to Hong Kong for the past 20 years. Is that correct? And 佢係好中意香港嘅喎。
Once a year, twice a year since the last, I don't know, 18 or 20 years behind. And Bojan, we know us from a long time.
Always pleasure to work with you. Always pleasure to having you in Hong Kong. So yeah.
So 其實咧4月嘅時候咧，我本身 I was just telling them in April there was actually a wine tasting that you were supposed to be here for, and I was actually supposed to go to as well. But I was doing my exams, and I was stuck in Canada, and I was back in Hong Kong. But then, of course, COVID kind of changed it up a bit. So this is my first introduction to your wines and you on behalf of Bojan, because from the day that Bojan, like he knew about me doing these live sessions and chat, he was so excited to introduce me to your wines. Like, you've got to meet this guy. You're going to fall in love with his wines, and you guys are going to kick it off from the first start, blah, 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 blah.
And you're going to fall in love with Mr. Alvaro.
I didn't want to say that publicly.
I'm in love with
okay.
Mr. Alvaro, so yeah.
So, first of all, how are you?
Well, very well. This morning of Friday here in Spain. We are in Rioja today. You know that we make wine in 3 regions in the north of Spain. And today we are in Alfaro, the village Alfaro in Rioja, Oriental, in the eastern side of Rioja.
Rioja,佢嘅屋企喺嗰度開始嘅, so we're going to get to Rioja in a minute. And how has COVID affected you? I think this is a question that I've asked almost every winemaker in every region, every country that we've involved so far. Has COVID affected you at all? Or your wineries or the winemaking? Because you just had harvest as well, right?
So can we share some images or?
Yeah. Yes, you can share your screen.
Great.
而家佢想俾我哋睇下佢而家嗰個地方。Share screen.
Arrive to.
Yes, you should be able to share your screen. I think.
You need to allow us to share the screen.
There you go.
Perfect.
Can?
So at least we're going to place a couple of images, at least the Spanish map, the map of Spain, just to place the.
佢講俾我哋聽，因為其實西班牙咧好多我都未去過嘅，其實佢而家會俾我哋睇嗰個地區，俾一個細嘅 introduction 俾大家，先認識下嘅地方。Okay. Okay. A shout out while he's doing that. Hey, Ronald is saying hi to Bojan.
Thank you.
Teresa,
hi,
good
Ronald.
morning. We've got our people that join us almost every talk so far.
So you can see here the names of the 3 wineries. Palacios Remondo, Alfaro is Rioja, Descendientes, Ojo Palacios is Invierzo, and Alvaro Palacios in Priorat, Gratajobs Priorat. Can you see the images?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. So now I'm going to play, here we have the map of Spain. So you can see that today we're going to start by the wines from Rioja Oriental. You see in the middle, in the north middle of Spain. Can you see that?
Yeah， 大家睇下佢而家紙巾俾我哋睇，我哋喺呢度開始啦。
Okay, there we're going to taste the wine Propiedad. It's a place, well, I will explain you a little bit now. Then we will go to Catalunya, South Barcelona, which is here. It's in the region of Priorat, where we will taste l'Ermita, which is our iconic wine from a very small vineyard in this area of Priorat. And then we will finish the tasting absolutely in the left-hand side in the north, in the occidental side of Spain in the north, which is Bierzo. You see here, okay? So everything's in the north, but it's completely different climates and completely different soils sometimes, but especially climates, no? Because here is very Mediterranean in the eastern side, and in the upper north side is very Atlantic influence, not very, very, very rainy, we could say. So, well, here we are.
Okay, so what are we starting with? Okay, so just before we start, I just want to give a shout out to Ringo. So of Four Seasons Hong Kong, he was so awesome. He's been sweetening me up for many years now, and he's the executive pastry chef at Four Seasons. I'm sorry, it's only breakfast for you, but we are getting into 5 o'clock, so we're gonna enjoy wines with beautiful. Look at these beautiful desserts. Thank you, Ringo. So we have sweet, but we also have savory. Don't worry, we're not gonna destroy your wines. This is just for you to look at, and then we will start with things that are gonna.
Yeah, that's the main course.
Yeah. See. Yes. Okay. So we are gonna start with which wine?
So Alvaro, we start with Propiedad.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's how we're starting in Rioja first.
So, please.
Exactly.
Okay,
So we're
cheers. First.
Salud. Cheers, Cambe.
Can I see the bottle?
Absolutely. Yes. This is going to be the.
La. Oh yeah. This is the bottle.
Okay, so, well, as I was telling you, this is the vineyard. This is like a 3 vineyards. It's this vineyard. It's also this vineyard. It's 3 vineyards in this wine. But the most important thing to tell you today is where we are. You can see a map of Rioja here. It's difficult maybe to see, but we are in the right hand side, in the oriental side of Rioja. Okay, you can see. I can do it with this. You can see the vineyard here, all right? You see my arrow here?
Yes.
Okay, so this is Rioja Oriental, all this area, which used to be called Rioja Baja. Here in the upper side, in the western side, is the Rioja Alta and Rioja Alavesa, okay? So everybody believes that Rioja is only about Tempranillo grape. But where we are, which is the oriental side, has always been Garnacha grape. In Rioja, we have Tempranillo and Garnacha as the main grapes. But in the last decades, people has been planting Tempranillo all over. Mm-hmm. But we has been keeping the traditional typicity of the local grape, historical local grape of Garnacha in our own environment, in our own area, which has been always working with. The Tempranillo grape has been always in here, in the Rioja Alta area and Rioja Alavesa, okay? This area where we are is warmer and drier. It rains a little bit less than in Rioja Alta, and also it's more luminous. So it's a perfect place for Garnacha, especially in the upper side, up in the hill of the mountains. You see all these mountains in the south of Rioja here, okay? That's the Iberian System range. And the best grapes of Rioja Oriental are in the foothills of all these mountains. Meanwhile, in Rioja Alta, the vineyards are all in the valley of the Ebro River and Tempranillo grape there. So where we are is Garnacha. So this is just to focus on what we're going to drink, which is the Propiedad, which is about 91% Garnacha. And the rest is another local grapes like Bobal, Monastel, and Tinta Velasco. It's like a 9% of those, right? So also I can give you some more images here. Especially the soil. The soil where we are is a sedimentary soil. I'm going to go very, very fast to try to...
有呢張相咧係打橫睇到咧，其實嗰個泥咧唔同嘅層次啊。咁咧其實佢啱啱講咧呢個地區咧，通常咧大部分啲人咧一聽到西班牙咧就會諗起咧 Tempranillo 呢個葡萄，但係咧佢話呢個地方咧啱啱有個紅點咧，你陣間可以調翻轉嚟睇翻啦。嗰度其實嗰個紅點嗰個位咧就係 Grenache 咧係 Grenache 嗰個地方。 咁咧係嗰個葡萄 ，sorry， 嗰個葡萄咧係法國嘅嗰個講個方法。而家 Grenache 咧係西班牙嗰個講法，但係其實係同一個葡萄。OK， 呢個好基本嘅第一個 point number one。Just telling them the difference. It's actually the same grape for French and the Spanish pronunciation, but it's the same. But actually, a lot of people think that it's a French grape, but in actuality, it is actually a Spanish grape.
It's a Spanish grape.
But Alvaro, can you get back to the photo? Where is the soil? Once again,
Sure.
Because I have a.
He has a dessert that looks like the soil.
Yeah.
Ringo did very well. That looks like the layers of the soil.
Of the cake, actually opera cake. Yeah.
It was a question. How does it taste? So, Bojan, how long did you open this one?
This one was opened just like 45 minutes before tasting.
都有開咗9個
in the glass.
Okay.
And you know, like I tasted a lot of wines many times, and I always love to go over and over. And I wish you can come back to Hong Kong as soon as possible, and again to listen to the same story and drink, because it's really never enough. It's really something to me in my mind, like being sommelier from before, you know, like this is the Rioja outside of the box. So this is something that is not typical Rioja that you can expect, as Alvaro said, is like a Tempranillo.
Is the Rioja from my area. Bordeaux, for example, in Bordeaux, we have the right-hand side area of Bordeaux, the right bank, is about Merlot and Cabernet Franc. The left bank of Bordeaux, of the river, is about more Cabernet Sauvignon. So in Rioja, it used to be the same thing, more or less. No, Tempranillo was in the more rainy area, more cooler area, because Tempranillo, as the word says, means early ripening. Tempranillo, temprano, early. So it needs early grape ripening in a rainy area, and then in the eastern side of Rioja, which is warmer, it was always natural. You understand what I'm saying? You understand? So we always have these differences, because in the old world, the great thing in the old world is that all the varieties were they have the perfect affinity at every environment and in each own different environments. So this is great. So like in Bordeaux, Merlot and Cabernet Franc is better in the right bank. Cabernet Sauvignon is better in the left bank. In Rioja was the same. In the upper side was Tempranillo, and the area of the eastern side, it was always Garnacha. The problem is that in the 80s, Tempranillo came as a big fashion, and they plant a lot of Tempranillo also in the eastern side, right? But what we wanted to do in our family is to keep the tradition right as it was, because we want to make wines with typicity, with the typicity of the region, which means for us the perfect sense is when you have the wine bringing the best of the area, because we are not discovering nothing new. All world, everything was established for many decades and centuries behind us. And this is the great thing about the great inheritance we have.
That's a very good point. 其實佢講嘅嘢咧係我覺得好重要，因為我其實去法國嘅時候咧，我都係覺得每一個地區咧有佢嗰個葡萄，嗰個地區咧就專做嗰個葡萄，因為其實冇嘢係而家專係改變去做新嘅嘢。其實嗰個地個踢花嗰個本身嗰個質感係for嗰個葡萄係最啱，所以而家帶翻呢一個睇法嗰個諗法去西班牙。都係呢一個做法，因為佢講我哋講 never eat soggy wieners 咧，嗰個區域咧嘅 East right 係專係 for 嗰個葡萄係最好嘅。咁佢係喺佢個家族裏邊咧，都係想用嗰個地區讓嗰個葡萄最好咧，就用嗰個葡萄，唔會話左同右會撈埋一齊咯。So that's a very good point.
So Alvaro, did you understand? Yeah? I don't know what she said.
You're following very well.
I will watch once again just to understand, to make sure that there's nothing against us.
So with that,
you know what I would like to propose you. If you don't mind, you can also taste these wines with also Burgundy glass with a balloon glass also by the side, because Garnacha is always recommended to be drinking in a balloon.
We need a Burgundy glass.
2 Burgundy glasses.
This is so bad. I'm so spoiled.
On the way.
It's completely different. You know, Garnacha is like the Pinot Noir of the South. Some people says I don't like to say this, but many people says Garnacha is like Pinot Noir of the South, which is completely different grape. But the texture is similar to Pinot Noir because it's a very fluid wines, very almost not much diluted, but not like Cabernet Sauvignon or like Syrah, not at all. It's more like Pinot Noir, fluid and crispy, very, very lively. With a lot of vivacity because the acidity is very high. So there is no much tannin.
No, that's the thing.
There is a precious vivacity brought by the great low pHs and high acidity. Okay.
其實係好容易飲㗎。The high acidity is actually quite pleasant. For drinkability, because the tannins are very soft, it's not very tannic. So I think for like Asian drinking as well with foods, because right now this is we have like a charcuterie kind of like we've got like smoked salmon, hams, normal Caucasian charcuterie style right here in front of us. But like when you start mixing with Asian foods, like the tannins, they've got to be softer. So I'm saying like the wines the Spanish wines actually are quite pleasant with the Asian foods because in one sitting, the foods are quite mixed. You know, we've got spicy, we've got cold, we've got sweet, we've got sour. So when you don't have a wine that's too one way, but it's quite pleasant because the acidity, it cuts through too sour, too sweet, you know what I mean? How it kind of blends a little bit more easier. It's easier on the palate with foods. It's a very drinkable, edible wine. But somebody was asking here as well, how does it compare?
We taste
He
it.
now has the Burgundy.
That's gonna be
但
fantastic.
好乖啦，嗱，嗰個酒莊莊主咧就叫我哋咧，佢好想我哋試呢一個酒 ，This is the same one for Rioja，係一個大啲嘅杯啦，因為佢覺得咧會令到佢開快啲啦，同埋個味道會有唔同嘅分別。所以如果你哋喺屋企咧，你可以做同一樣嘢 ，OK？Can try this at home as well.
We should say that the thick wines, rich in tannins and color, they need to be in a Bordeaux glass to be content. But those ones with clear, open color and crispy and with vivacity needs to, because they are more diluted, they are more vulnerable, we could say, sensible. You need to open them like a lagoon to enjoy the perfumes and the beautiful aromas.
Hence the Burgundy wine.
Exactly.
But
The charmness and the enchants.
Alvaro, all your harvesting is done, yes. So you are finished with in the vineyard, I guess, long time ago already.
We finished. Has been a little bit advanced again this year, like 2017. It was also in advance for 10 days or 8, and a little bit less than 17, but also in advance because it was a very, very hot summer. But great wines, very concentrated.
Actually, in the beginning, Bernice wanted to ask, so like, what is your challenging during the COVID time? Like, how did you manage to do? Because I guess it's a very difficult situation. In France, at least with who I was talking, you know, like they need to separate from the winery and vineyards. And it was very difficult to manage, you know, like with the manpower for the COVID situation. So how did you face this challenge?
So unfortunately, I don't have a helicopter, so I have to be driving. And it's a crazy movement, but we do 3 regions. My nephew is established. My nephew Ricardo, he lives in Bierzo. He stayed there, but I also go the first weeks of the moment of design, went to harvest, tasting the grapes, analyzing the grapes.
Did it affect the amount of production though? Because even some people in Bordeaux, they said actually their numbers were more. The amount that the production was more than what they expected. It didn't decrease the amount
that happens only this year happens only in Priorat. Bierzo and Rioja it was very well.
Okay.
Because this year it was a little problem of all over Bordeaux, everywhere has been. You know, the winters were very rainy in Europe, very rainy. The spring was also rainy, but winter was extremely rainy. You know, maybe I see the old days, we don't remember, very rainy. So that provoked big attacks of mildew, which is the other second moisture that attack the grapes. And it's very bad because it really, really kills the grapes. So there was much less production in Priorat, but we could arrange well in Rioja, and in Bierzo there was not much mildew. Very curious that in the upper north side of Spain there was not much attacks of mildew, but the rest of Europe has been the anecdote of this vintage also. Yeah.
It was.
Well, so I manage as I can, but I tell you something. I could not do any more regions than 3. It's crazy because also we like to make the wine ourselves, especially the top vineyards like Lernita, La Faraona, Valmira, Monferval. I like to do the process inside of harvesting, also to be in the sorting table, tasting the grapes, which one goes, which one doesn't go, everything nice. And also go inside the tank to step the grapes. So I like to do that. So a part of the complications that you need to do all these wines, but not more regions. That should be impossible. Should be literally impossible.
Yeah, so if you need someone heavy to step on your grape, I'm here. So yeah.
Right.
Okay, so from Rioja, where are we moving next?
Well, let me taste the propiedad first. Let me taste this beautiful garnacha with you.
Okay, wait. I'm going to do this one first. Cheers.
Salute.
Well,
Yeah.
So very nice.
2017嘅，好似係啊，2017嘅 Propriet 啊，大家。你之後可以上 winemaking 個 .io 咧去睇，我哋有幾個唔同嘅年份。咁你之後咧，因為我哋而家係第一支，我哋有3支嘅，我哋會快少少噶啦 ，OK？去 get through，因為佢3個唔同嘅 region。I was just saying it's very interesting because you started in Rioja. And one of the questions is why did you progress to explore 2 other regions? If you know you're only from Rioja, what brought you to the other regions? Like what brought you going from Rioja to somewhere where you're very familiar, and then all of a sudden you want to go to? Which one did you go next?
It's about my life. It's also about this historical circumstance in Spain. You know, it's difficult to explain this in few minutes. It's very difficult. But I have to briefly say that my generation has been in a very specific circumstantial times because, you know, Spain is the greatest. Bueno, I don't want to say the greatest, but I want to.
Why not? It's your time. Come on.
Yeah.
I love drinking Burgundy, and I love drinking Piemonte, and I love drinking Bordeaux, and drinking many other wines in the world, especially from the old world. But we belong to the old world, and we are the country is the largest country in the world of vineyards. We have the biggest vineyard property in the world, and also sometimes we are the largest producers, depending in France how the crop has gone in between. No, we have the same ingredients that we can have in Italy or in France or in Spain, and also now we will see the eastern countries of Europe. There will be so many beautiful things, but anyhow, we have the same ingredients. All these autochthonous grapes historically adapted in the area, in every region, etc., etc. What happened is that Spain fell down in a very big crisis in the 20th century, but especially in the agricultural aspects. And then we have this political system during 45 years that up to 1975, they didn't open up to the world. So Spain was like a hidden from the rest of Europe for many years. A little bit like isolated. I don't want to say good or bad, but it was isolated in comparing to the connections to the rest of Europe and the world. So many wine regions, they were really like a slipping down, like a hiding also from activity. And only Rioja and Jerez, you know, sherry wines, also from Catalonia, the sparkling wines, that's the only thing people knew about. And Vega Sicilia, who nobody knew what it was, by the way. So then when Spain opened up, also when Spain came into the common market, European common market, etc., everything really opens up to the world. And that's my generation, is when I am there. And also I had a great chance that I studied in Bordeaux. I work with the Moex family, with Christian Moex in Chateau Petrus, in Lalande, Pomerol, Trotanois, etc., etc. So France really impact my brain, my soul, and I really became crazy and something like doing the best in Spain when I was going back. So I came back to the family business, which is what we are tasting the first wine today in Palacios Remondo in Rioja. But I wanted to do something else. My feelings were about I need to wake up any other possibilities in Spain. I saw the potential of, you know, many old vines in the regions, you know, constellations of many old vine vineyards, sorry, and you know, all this sediment of culture that I knew that I could make a Grand Cru Class A category wine somewhere else. And this is what I'm trying to do still since the last 31 years. So I went to Priorat because I was looking for an area in Spain, blah, 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 blah. And a friend of mine invited me to come to Priorat in 1989. So that was the reason why. Then why Bierzo? Because I have my nephew, Ricardo, who also did the same as me. He went to France, he studied in Bordeaux, he worked in Chateau Margaux, blah, blah. He also became crazy about very classic wine. So he came to me, Uncle Alvaro, I want to do something in Bierzo. You know, this region in the north of Spain was traveling for a wedding last weekend or 2 weekends ago, and I stopped by and I became crazy about that region. Okay, so there is a second reason why. In fact, myself, I couldn't do 3 regions. And why I'm doing Rioja is because my father passed away the year after we started Bierzo. Bierzo we started in 1999, and then my father passed away in the year 2000, so my brothers and sisters and my mother, they give me the responsibility of the winery in Rioja. That's why it's 3 regions. But mainly, they really would like to do many more regions because Spain can offer the best Grand Cru category wines in the world. But I have no more legs, no more arms, no more eyes, no more brain. So I'm trying to do the best in the 3 places where we are. But as you have seen, and as you can realize, I tell this to everybody who's listening, in the last couple of decades, how many new regions has become so well accepted. So imagine that 30 years ago, there was only like 15 appellations d'origine consolidated, no? But today there is 65, and still more wine regions in Spain waiting for the category of appellation d'origine, no? How can I say? So Spain is an ocean of wine regions, and you can't imagine what you can do here. It's great. And many people is showing it right now from other areas. Different garnachas for example, in Avila, in Madrid, Gredos, no? For example, now in Navarra is recovering Navarra started planting Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot 40 years ago, and they destroy the image of Navarra. They make a new wine. So now young people is trying to do what the great-grandparents did before.
Yeah.
So recovering the Garnacha autochthon grape and making wines that you can imagine. The finesse, the balance, the category of those wines is amazing. And many other regions, blah, blah, blah.
While you pour the second one, I have a question. While you pour the second wine, okay, because it's already time, so you got to pour the second one. But I got to ask you then, because you're so excited, I mean, not just about Spain, and you've been everywhere around the world, like literally all the major wine regions. Did you ever think about increasing like the brand, your family brand, to produce wines even outside of Spain? Because, people like Mondavi and, big brands have big houses, even the Wax, they produce wines, they collaborate with other countries as well. Have you thought about bringing your brand out of Spain, or just
No. Just very briefly, again, I hope to be very brief now. First of all, Spain needs a lot of things to do from us.
Yeah.
I can go somewhere else. And also, I feel myself like a vigneron, like a small viticulture. I don't want to be I want to make a very high class wine, not very high quantity of wine. My philosophy is vigneron, work in the vineyards, understand the vineyard. 3 regions are a lot, because in every region we have many different little vineyards. It's you have to really, it's como un mariage. It's like it's a sentimental feelings that you must develop with your vineyards, being here, and then we have to travel. Right now we cannot travel, but our normal ordinary life is traveling around the world and also working the vineyard. So there is no more existing time for anything else.
So I guess the second is going to be La Ermita.
Yes, let's go for it.
La Ermita?
Yes.
You're going to show? This is La Ermita.
See, I would love to show at least a picture of La Ermita.
Yeah, please,
A picture of the vineyard.
You can.
Please.
It's ready for, yeah. There you
Cake,
go.
cookie, cake.
Cake, cookie. Cheers. Cheers.
Just a second, yes.
No
Just a
problem.
second.
Take your time, take your
I
time.
tried to raise the image. We cannot do it. Oh, what a pity.
Yeah, you can.
Yes, but it doesn't move. It doesn't jump to other picture.
It was on your screen.
Do you need to confirm something?
No, it's there. It's engagement. It's here. See, multiple screen.
Okay.
It's his screen. Exit full screen mode.
Well, anyway,
You cannot?
yes, just 1 second. Let us try again.
Oh, no problem. Yes.
It's okay. We've got some time. Okay, so let me. So this one is 2015, correct? Are we sharing the same one? 2015.
Same one, 2015, Ermita. Yeah, we have it here. Great.
Oh, fantastic, yeah.
I'm gonna show you right away.
Yeah, we see that. And this is 90 90% Mencia. And as Bojan was saying, oh, you're doing the other one. Oh, you're doing Priorat. Sorry. 大家唔好意思，呢個係另一個先嚟，而家係。但係都係
we are now Priorat, okay?
Oh, Priorat. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
So we are now in the south of Catalonia, all right? Es que no puedo, ya vale.
Voilà. 唔緊要，都係 Grenache or Grenache。然之後咧，佢係76至105年嘅 vines 嚟喎。This is your oldest plot too, isn't it? Yeah. In the information, the vines go from 76 to 105 years of age for the vines. Is that correct? That's crazy.
Bueno, so here we see the map of Spain, okay?
Let me tell you.
Bernice.
Yeah.
We have the Spanish map here, and we have to go to the right-hand side in the north, Barcelona, you see here?
Yeah.
Okay? So a little bit south by the coast, we find Priorat region. Small region, okay? And it's a very Mediterranean climate where it's sunny, it's luminous, and not much rain here, but a very, very unique area that I'm going to show you right away. Sorry for this.
It's by Barcelona.
You see the images, okay? You can see. So it's steep slopes of vineyards, very old vines hanging in these beautiful slopes. And the soil of the area, the soil is slate, it's schist. It's a metamorphic soft rock, okay? It's not like in Propiedad or Rioja or Media or which is sedimentary soils, flat soil. No, this is steepy, and also is what we call schist, derivation of the slate. Okay, so it's completely different here. Comparing to the 90% of the rest of the wines in the world, there is no chalk. There is no chalk in the soil. As you know, when we talk about calcaric soils, you know, limestone, calcaric soils, which is most of the soils in the world, like Bordeaux, Rioja, Burgundy, Ribera del Duero, everywhere. Here, no, here is slate and there is no any limestone, there is no any chalk. So there's no flavors of chalk. Here, the flavors we find are about graphite, for example, no, very mineral flavors. Graphite, also like humid soil. And here, we are going to taste the same grape because by historical circumstances, it's also Garnacha in Priorat. Ermita this Ermita is about, I have it here, it's about 91% Garnacha, 8% Cariñena, and 1% white grapes. So it's mainly Garnacha in this blend, in this vintage. Sometimes there is more Cariñena. So this comes from a very unique vineyard. It's a vineyard called La Ermita. You can see here, is about 1.5 hectares, and we produce maximum 3,000 bottles. Sometimes we only produce 1,000, depends on the vintage. The old Garnachas, they produce more or less because they're like a baby, like a spoiled baby, like spoiled children, very capricious. So sometimes they produce maximum 3,000 bottles when we are very lucky. Vineyards are very old. It's a slope facing to the north, about 500 meters of altitude, and the soil is very greeny slate, like a green color with a lot of mica, a lot of quartzite, with a lot of bright little stones encrusted in the conglomerate of the slate. So it's a very cold soil in a higher land facing to the north, which is the finest wines in Priorat facing to the north because the place is very sunny and luminous. So this is one of the characteristics. Most of the world needs to be facing south to ripe, phenolically speaking. But in Priorat, we have such an energy of sun reaction that the finest wines are protected. So they're in the shade areas of the slopes, right? And here we have 2015.
嗱，好笑啊！頭先第一支同埋第二支咧係同一個葡萄，但係咧佢種嘅嚟嘅地方咧係完全唔一樣啦。咁佢你聽到嗰個字咧 ，schist 咧，點解突然之間叮咧？就因為我啱啱喺 Portugal 嗰度，即係啱啱讀緊 Portugal， 佢都有呢一個字，因為個泥嗰個分別係唔一樣嘅。咁咧，佢呢一度咧嗰啲葡萄係成100幾年嘅， 咁佢俾一個佢第一個咧就因為佢喺嗰度開始啦，佢加咗係 Rioja。咁呢度咧佢真係好特別，因為其實好少嘅咋。Is it how was only 1 hectare so right? He said on this area.
1 hectare and a half.
好少嘅咋。And 同埋佢收成幾多咧？係每一年睇嗰個天氣嗰個溫度點樣影響佢嗰個種個葡萄嗰個收成嗰個即係產量啦。咁啦，係啦。咁呢兩個地方 ，okay. So between these two, because I'm saying that the same grape, but it's very different characteristics because of the terroir, which is the main difference, right? And how it affects the grape and the drinkability. Because, for instance, one is the first one, which is from Rioja, is drinkable after 5 years. This one has about 10 years is when it starts to show at its best. Why would that? Why is the 5-year difference? Why does this one need to sit longer? Why? Why? Tell people like me, like us, why would this, if they're the same grape, just a different terroir or where it's from, why would this one need to sit double the amount of time in order for you to drink it at its best?
Bueno, I have to tell you that
in 1 minute.
In fact, I have to tell you something, that La Ermita is one of those vineyards that they have been touched by a divine hand or something. It's like, in fact, the La Ermita, you can see in the label here, Gran Viña Clasificada, this has been happening since the 2017 vintage, has been classified by Europe as a Grand Cru Classé. So it's a Gran Viña Clasificada, Grand Cru Classé. So it's one of those vineyards that they have a special potential, first of all, to bring a wine full of sensitiveness, and also aging potential. No? So first of all, it's not about only the aging potential, but also about the enchanting aspects of the wine, the pleasure that this wine can offer. So we are talking about something really classic. It's a real great classic wine. So, and that is given by this specific vineyard. This vineyard has those compounds and that location that offers this wine, and that's why it needs to be bottled apart from the others, because it has all this potential of magic and also even aging potential, structure and potential on time.
You want to translate maybe?
I'll do it later because we don't have time. We got to move to the third one.
No problem. Just like so. I really, I know most of your wines, actually all of your wines, and I'm regularly drinking them, which I'm very lucky with these kind of things. But one of my personally wine that I can drink every day is actually La Terrazas, your La Terrazas. I just want to ask, what's the distance in between, because I've never been to Priorat, so what's the difference in distance it's between La Terrazas and La Ermita?
Bueno, it's completely different philosophy of wine origin, grape origin, everything. Terrazas is a regional blend conception. So it's a Priorat regional blend. That means that Terrazas, La Ermita is about 2,000 bottles, depends on the vintage. Terrazas is about 120,000 bottles. So terraces is impossible that we can have our vineyards in ourselves, because we're talking about a very steep slopes, so incredibly difficult to work because we have to work with animals here, with mules and horses. So terraces is a purchase grapes. We purchase grapes from 8 different villages of Priorat. Priorat has 10 villages, so we purchase grapes from 8 different villages, from about 120 vintners or small grape producers that we have been dealing with them for many years behind. So it's a regional wine conception. Main wine, La Ermita, is the village of Gratajobs, and only one specific vineyard, probably the best in town, the best of the village.
So to me, just I'm the big fan of Las Terrazas. So it's especially when it's coming from the Magnum size, because I think it's very perfect oxidation, maturation, and everything. It is really.
On the other hand, Terrazas is a very classic, a very beautiful introduction to classic Priorat, because it's made with Garnacha, the Carignan, the autochthone grapes, and we do it very, very carefully. It's an enormous selection that the wine offers. When it's so successful, the wine is really, really fine. Especially 2018 vintage now is beautiful.
Okay.
I'll let her taste.
He doesn't let me taste it. So we've got to move on to the third wine now.
Yes.
Now, from the second wine to the third wine, where are we moving to?
Yes.
So now we go to a completely different place. Now we go to the.
And
Now
this is
we
the
share
bottle.
first. Oh, this is the bottle. Yes. So according to the notes, I was supposed to think I was very this
Exactly.
Yay!
That one. Right? It's a little bit different. Yeah. Right.
Just the light, yeah. But this bottle, it has the map on the bottom, on the back.
Yes. It's actually, in order to understand, for everyone who's following, you actually have the map behind.
Yes.
So you can.
That's the map of the village. That's the vineyard that we have, and in the red spot is the vineyard we are having in this bottle.
Yeah.
So
you can
now we have to drive 900 kilometers to the western side of Spain in the north. So from the Mediterranean coast, we go to the Atlantic coast.
So usually you take the plane to Vigo and then drive, yeah?
I told you that I don't have any helicopter. Everything has to be by car.
你記得由中咧就落咗去呢邊啦，亂啲。而家我哋去翻上邊啦 ，OK， 係啦，呢度啦，我哋去第3個地方啦。
So you see my
Santiago 附近啦。
You see the arrow I am indicating now where we are now, Bierzo here. So this is what they call in Spain the green Spain. It's completely different to what we have been tasting right now. So imagine that, for example, in Rioja and Pirat, it rains about 400 millimeters of rain per year, 400 liters, okay? In Bierzo, it's an area that could rain more than 1,000 liters, right? Right?
Okay.
So it's even more than Champagne average of rain, imagine. So we are in a very septentrional, northy area right now. And we have this ancestral, ancient wine region here that where grapes were produced before the Romans came. So we're talking about more than 2,000 years. And then we have also, like in the other regions, an incredible sediment of the most mystic and spiritual experiences through the medieval ages with the monks making wine in the area, French monks coming and going, you know, bringing from France or bringing from the other to France, an incredible history behind in terms of these drunk monks those days back to the medieval ages. So, of course, a completely different grape, okay? We have a grape, which is a very short vegetal cycle that can ripe phenolically perfectly well in a short time before the rains arrive in September. That should be the brief resume to tell you. And the grape is called Mencía, okay? Which is related to, I don't know, sometimes people say it could be related to Cabernet Franc.
Exactly, yes.
Who knows?
Mencía, 大家唔係 Mencía, okay?
Yeah, you need to have this special accent.
It's got a like, yeah. So
it's not the Barcelona, it's Barcelona. So,
yeah, Barcelona, 大家 OK？ 講錯咗頭先，但係咧
it's actually a very romantic accent. Yeah.
佢咧就話咧呢一個 grape 咧，平時咧就 is it Cabernet Franc？
Is it Cabernet Franc or not?
大家唔知。而家我哋問佢話 no。
That nobody knows. That nobody knows. We were talking about so many centuries ago. But also there is another grape. There is another, because we have Mencía. All these red spots you can see here is, for example, the vineyards we have been buying in the last years. So we have like 45 hectares, and there is about 240 plots, okay? All of them, as you can see in these pictures, they are very old vines, you see? Very old vines in the slopes, beautiful, beautiful. So in these vineyards, you find Mencía more or less about 80% or 90 or 80%, and then you find other reds. And for example, we find the Bastardo, the name in the area is like bastard, but it's related, this is absolutely related to Trousseau in Jura, in France. So this also talks about this interchange of culture between the monks of France and the monks of Spain. Because, you know, Bierzo is at the end of the pilgrim way to St. James de Compostelle. That means that back to the 6th century or even before, the religious, the Christians, they heard that the rest of St. James de Compostelle were in the coast of Galicia. So they have been walking back and forth this region from centuries and centuries. And there is a lot of sediments of culture or at least interchange. So that's why sometimes people mention that Mencía, someone says in the old days, that could be related to Cabernet Franc, but maybe Mencía was brought rather than the Cabernet was brought to Bierzo back to the 14th century or the 15th century, because we're talking about those dates. Yeah. So it's a beautiful history behind. It's a beautiful history, absolutely.
You're so passionate about the wines. And what is your, okay, I know this is a really bad question, but what is your favorite? And this is like asking you to choose between your children, but everybody has to, okay, if it was not, okay, I guess you can choose your own. If it's not,
we all know, this is like asking to a father which is the best son. No.
This is just what she said, yes.
Yeah, but you can't.
The great thing is that you have wines for every different times of the day, of the week, of the month,
Okay, when you go home after work, what's the glass you pick?
Beer.
That depends who I am with, what we have, what the closest I have, or what we are eating. But if we talk about pairing, these wines, they are such a beautiful, they have such a deep, mysterious inside, and they have such a length of mysteries and beauty that sometimes you don't even think about the pairing. You don't think about the moleculas, aromaticas that goes this with that, etc. You just, those wines, they pair with many food, and especially pair with your soul. They're like balms for your soul. Some vinos from the wines from the old world that really they are over even what to pair exactly with.
So are you like the type, like when you're in your vineyards and you say like they're like your children and your babies, do you sing to them like when you sing in the shower?
Well, I don't think they're my babies, but because I have a lot of respect to them, because I feel that what I feel is that I have a legacy to go with, because we're talking about very old vineyard that someone planted before ourselves.
Yes.
And someone we planted before, and so many centuries of years doing the same thing in alterate on times, and it's like a legacy that comes to our hands, and it's like so respectful. So babies, I don't know.
I can jump.
Yeah, you can jump.
Yes, if I can just jump in.
Respect.
If I can jump into conversation, the reason why she asked this question, I understand very well, because maybe she doesn't really know the way how to approach. It's about singing. So she heard somewhere, and I didn't say, or maybe I did, I don't know.
Well, because I sing too, but like I just haven't sang.
She heard that you are singing very well, which I experienced.
Yeah, I heard I heard through the grapevine that you like.
So now.
Says that's what people say. Yeah, sometimes in Hong Kong we have been singing something.
I don't know. I mean, I know, but I didn't say anything.
I want those times to be back.
Of course,
and
yes,
who plays the guitar? You or you?
I don't play anything. So I just
you
drink.
Sing and play the guitar.
Sorry.
Man says you also. Man says you play the guitar.
Live.
Yeah,
yes.
he was here. Except the minute I say live.
We have been singing together, almost together. No, Man Lai doesn't sing. I never see him singing. But
yes.
Okay.
But actually, I have one question, just like a very quick.
We have good parties there.
Of course, yeah.
We have experienced some good parties.
And as soon as possible, we wish you to repeat these parties as well.
I want to be in these parties.
You will be, I promise you. But I want to ask you one thing related to back to 2015. So
because
you've been actually you were chosen as a man of the year or winemaker of the year of the Wine Spectator. Did you expect that? And what was
Decanter magazine?
Decanter, sorry, yeah, Decanter magazine said.
The Wine Spectator doesn't do Man of the Year.
Oh, so did you expect this? What was your feelings? And
I was not expecting that at all. And it was amazing. 2015, it was the Decanter Man of the Year. And 2016, it was the Master of Wine, Winemaker of the Year.
Nice.
So it was like 2 years of, wow, how can I achieve this? How could I?
I think should be at least another 5 years, but I don't know why.
But I believe this is because what I was telling you at the beginning of our chatting, that I was talking to you about that circumstance in history. Spain gave me that. Spain gave me everything I have been, because the quality of those wines is terrific, and you cannot do it by enology. These are specific vineyards. Montferval, where we are tasting right now, is in a specific area of 1 hectare, 0.8, that what emerged from there is something magical. It's is the elixir of life. So, okay, we take care of it. We try to do the best to don't damage it. But it is what it is. It's what Spain is offering. And I think these circumstances is what the Decanter or the Masters of Wine, they saw and they give to those wines, not to me. It's a circumstance in history. I was just passing by there in the right time.
So that means he's not going to sing for us, right?
I don't know. You ask. I don't ask anything.
I can't ask. You just kind
You
of.
just be direct. It's your show.
Do you need to walk through the vineyards in order to sing?
No, she's just asking, would you like to sing something now? But maybe
while we're drinking your wine, so we can have the full experience of what it is to be.
Hey, wow, he did. So that's mean it can. He did just. So I don't know. I didn't ask you. Please don't blame me.
He's not blaming.
Whether you want to sing now,
watch him. He's gonna pull it a professional.
I was not
prepared.
Mentalized a bit. So early in the morning, but I don't know.
Tiger? Yes.
I don't know what to sing.
It's completely your time, your show. Anything.
Food and wine and stuff. Music. Like that.
Very hard for me. It's very early in the morning. It's too early.
I know.
It's the best way to start. The best way to start the day. Come on.
Okay.
喂我
佢好中意香港㗎 ，and then 咧，因為佢其實本身4月都應該響度嘅，咁其實佢個愛對於香港咧，同埋對於音樂咧，我自己本身又好中意啦。I said the next time you're here, you're giving me a guitar lesson. You know, I have guitars, but I don't know how to play them,
right.
And I don't have a good-looking teacher who has the passion for wine and food. That's like the perfect situation. You have the perfect place.
Thank you. Yeah.
A great place there. My goodness, Links cellar. Wow, many things there done. What a great memory.
Somebody just asked, so if you missed this, there's people are just joining now. Actually,
yeah.
There's actually 3 locations. He's got wineries in 3, so plots in 3 different locations in Spain. Just go back onto. We're gonna have this available on my Facebook Live, and then we'll have a YouTube cut as well. 其實咧佢。其實我哋已經過咗時間啦，it's almost been an hour. So I want to thank you very much because I know with the daylight savings and it was obviously because of Bojan and you to do this at last minute again as well.
Please.
Thank you.
Cheers.
And you can go to winemaven.io to check out his wines. We're going to have all the information on his wines as well that are available, whatever vintage that we can get. And at the same time, shout out to Ringo and 4 Seasons for providing us with food. Are you going to play music? You can play music. We'll keep it on. I won't cut this off. He's ready.
Thank you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy our wines there. Enjoy with
Alvaro.
Alvaro, thank you very much.
Thank you very much once again. We are dying to having you back here in Hong Kong and to continue what we started a long time ago. Yeah.
I hope we can soon. And whenever
or else we go there.
We'll see you here.
Yeah.
Okay, in the videos. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Oh, bye bye.